My wife secretly sold our family home for $500, $0, claiming it was for our future, but I just found out she's been hiding the profits and suing me for half of everything. After I caught her with her affair partner, who's a lawyer, and discovered she had a side mortgage of $150, $0 all along. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, staring at the wreckage of what I thought was a solid marriage, but here I am. The craziest thing. It all came crashing down in a matter of weeks, and the most shocking part was how long she'd been lying right to my face. Honestly, I feel like I was hit by a freight train I didn't see coming. Her name, Emily. We married about 10 years ago, had 2 kids, built what I thought was a life together. She always seemed a little high maintenance, but I figured that was just her personality. She's sharp, manipulative when she wants to be, and she's got this way of making herself seem like the victim no matter what. The first sign something was off started about 6 months ago. She started working late more often, claiming it was just stress or a big deal at her law firm. Yeah, turns out she's a lawyer, and that was part of the problem from the start. She'd come home with a new designer bag, or suddenly she'd have money to go out with her friends, even though she'd been complaining about money tightness just the week before. I didn't think much of it at first. I was busy with my own job, trying to make sure the bills were paid, the kids were taken care of, and that our house was still standing. But then I started noticing her phone more. She'd hide it when I came near, always had a new excuse for why she was texting or calling someone. I brushed it off, convinced she was just talking to her sister or a client. But then I found her phone one night, accidentally left it on the couch while I was grabbing a beer. I saw a message thread, nothing explicit at first, just little flirtatious comments that didn't seem like a big deal. Still, it felt wrong. A few days later, I noticed her phone was password protected, which she'd never done before. I asked her about it and she snapped, told me I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things. That's when I started paying closer attention. I noticed her behavior changing, more secretive, more defensive, always quick to shut down any questions. She'd get defensive when I asked about her whereabouts, and her stories about where she'd been started to conflict. But I didn't have concrete proof yet, so I kept quiet, waiting for something more obvious. Then the biggest shock hit me when I stumbled across a bank statement on her laptop. I was just trying to get some paperwork sorted, and I saw a transfer, $500,000, going into an account I didn't recognize. I looked it up, traced it back, and it turned out Emily had secretly sold our family home 2 months ago for $500, $0. She claimed it was for our future, that she wanted to invest, buy a new place, start fresh. But the truth was she'd hidden the money from me entirely. I couldn't believe it. She'd been lying about everything, about the sale, about the money, about her plans. And then I saw the real kicker. There was a side mortgage of $150, $0 that I had no idea about. She'd taken out a loan, probably to fund her secret life or her affairs. How could she do this? All the while, I thought we were building a future together. I started connecting the dots and realized she'd been planning this for months, selling the house, hiding the profits, and probably using some of that money to keep her affair going. I was furious, betrayed, and completely blindsided. It was that night I decided enough was enough. I needed to confront her, get to the bottom of this, and figure out just how deep her lies went. I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal anymore. The truth was sitting right there, staring me in the face. It was time to face her, no matter how much I hated what I was about to hear. The confrontation didn't happen right away. I needed time to process everything. The betrayal, the lies, the fact that I'd been living in some kind of nightmare. But I knew I couldn't keep pretending. One evening I sat her down in the living room, the same one where we'd shared so many good times, and I looked her in the eyes. "Emily," I started, voice trembling a little, "I know about the sale of the house. I know about the money you've been hiding from me, and I know about the mortgage you took out without telling me." Her face went pale for a second, then she scoffed, trying to brush it off like I was overreacting. "That's not a big deal," she said, brushing her hair back. "You're just paranoid. I told you I was investing, remember, it's all for us." But I wasn't buying it. Her stories didn't add up. She tried to spin it, saying she'd always planned to tell me eventually, that she was just trying to protect us from financial stress and unnecessary worries. And when I pressed her about the affair, she threw a tantrum, said I was accusing her of things she didn't do, that I was paranoid and controlling. She looked so calm, so dismissive, like she was convinced she was untouchable, but I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I knew she'd been lying, hiding, scheming. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything, her cold face when I brought up the sale, her excuses, her denial. I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. How could she do this? How could she lie about our home, our future, and then pretend it was all for the best? I was furious, but underneath that, I felt a deep sadness. I'd trusted her. I'd believed in us. And now I was staring at the ruins of a life I thought I knew. The next day, I decided I had to find out the full extent of her deception. I hired a private investigator to dig into her financials and her recent activities. I needed proof, solid proof, before I could do anything. While I waited, I started digging through our shared bank accounts, credit cards, anything I could find. That's when I discovered she'd been funneling money into an account she kept hidden, an account she never mentioned. It had thousands of dollars in it, and I had no idea where it came from. What really set me off was the discovery that she'd been suing me for half of everything: our house, our savings, the car, even the little things like furniture and jewelry. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. She'd already started the legal process, and I was just finding out now. How could she do this? How could she betray me like that, secretly sell the house, hide the money, and then turn around and sue me for half of everything? It was like she thought she could get away with murder. I felt so betrayed I couldn't even think straight. I'd built a life with her, worked my ass off for our family, and she'd been living a double life the entire time. I started questioning everything: our memories, our promises, the very foundation of what I thought was real. I was angry, yes, but mostly I was hurt. Hurt that someone I loved so much could lie, cheat, and scheme behind my back for so long. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what yet. All I knew was that I couldn't let her keep pulling the strings while I was left in the dark. I decided I'd confront her again, this time with all the evidence. I was going to make her face what she'd done, and I was determined to get to the truth, no matter how ugly it was. I'd been blind for too long, and now I saw everything clearly: the lies, the betrayal, the greed. And I knew I had to take control of my life again, before she did it all over again, or worse. The day I finally confronted Emily again, I felt like I was walking into a storm I couldn't control. I had the evidence spread out: screenshots of bank statements, the legal notices, the hidden account details, everything. I was furious, but I also knew I had to stay calm. I needed her to see I wasn't bluffing. She was in the kitchen, pretending to be busy with her phone like she always did when she was trying to hide something. I took a deep breath and laid everything out on the table. "Emily, I know about the sale of the house, the hidden money, the mortgage, and that you're suing me for half of everything. I've had enough of your lies, so tell me what the hell is going on." Her face twisted in that familiar bitchy sneer. "Oh, so now you're accusing me of being a liar," she snapped, crossing her arms. "You're just paranoid as usual. You always think I'm cheating or hiding something. Well, maybe if you paid more attention to your own shortcomings, you wouldn't be so insecure." I clenched my fists. "Don't play that game with me, Emily. I've seen the proof. I know you've been hiding money, selling the house behind my back, and you're trying to screw me out of everything. All the while you're out screwing your lawyer friend, Jason. Is that right, or are you going to pretend I'm crazy?" She rolled her eyes. "Jason's just a friend. You're so insecure, it's pathetic. And the house? I was just trying to do what's best for us. You're so damn selfish, always thinking about your stupid job. I was trying to fix our future, and you're just too blind to see it." Her voice was dripping with venom. That's when I lost it. "Fix our future? You sold our home, Emily. Our family home, the one I worked my ass off to pay for, and you didn't tell me. You lied about the sale, hid the money, and took out a $150, $0 mortgage. Are you kidding me? How could you do that to me, to us?" She looked so calm, so dismissive. "You're overreacting. I did what I had to do. You're just mad because I didn't tell you. It's not a big deal. And Jason, he's just helping me with some legal stuff. Don't be so jealous." I couldn't take it anymore. The rage, the betrayal, it all boiled over. I told her I wanted a divorce. I told her I was done trusting her, that I was going to take her to court and get everything back. I wanted her out of my life, out of my house, and away from my kids. I never thought I'd go this far, but I was sick of her lying, scheming, and treating me like I was some kind of fool. Her reaction was unbelievable. She started crying, saying I was ruining everything, that I was just angry because she'd been trying to build a better life for us. She insisted she loved me, that all her actions were for our future. Yeah, sure. That's what she kept saying, her future, her investment, her protection. But the truth was, she was just trying to cover her tracks, to make me feel guilty so I wouldn't fight her. I told her I'd call a lawyer, that I was going to fight for everything. I didn't care about her tears or her lies anymore. I was done being the naive husband who believed in her. I knew I had to get control of this mess, and that meant exposing her for what she really was, a manipulative, greedy, cheating bitch who'd been planning her escape for months. After she stormed out of the kitchen, I sat down and started planning my next move. I knew she'd try to spin everything, try to make me the bad guy, but I had the proof now. I was going to fight her for every cent, for my dignity and for my future. I realized I'd been a fool to trust her, but now I was wide awake. I wasn't going to let her walk away with everything she wanted. I'd fight and I'd win. Or at least I'd make sure she paid for what she'd done. Over the next few days, I threw myself into action. I contacted a lawyer I knew from work, someone who specialized in divorce and financial disputes. I didn't hold back. I handed him everything I had, screenshots, bank statements, the legal notices, even her texts where she tried to spin her lies. I told him I wanted full custody of the kids, a fair division of assets, and I was prepared to fight her for every dollar she tried to hide or steal. Emily's reaction was classic. She started calling, texting, even showing up at my office, trying to guilt-trip me into backing down. She claimed I was destroying her, that she only ever wanted what was best for the family, and that I was overreacting. She said I was the one cheating, that I was paranoid and controlling, just like she always did when she got caught. But I knew better now. I'd seen her true face, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The legal process moved fast. She filed her papers to sue me for half of everything, but I countered with my own claims. I wanted the house, the savings, and the money she'd secretly sold. I also demanded an audit of her accounts and the mortgage she took out without telling me. It was clear she'd been planning this for a while, and I was determined to expose her. In the meantime, I kept digging into her financials. I hired a private investigator to follow her around, just to confirm what I already suspected. Turns out she'd been meeting Jason, her lawyer buddy, in secret. They'd been sneaking around for months, and I found out they'd been together in hotels, at restaurants, even in her car late at night. The worst part, she'd lied to me every step of the way, telling me she was working late, meeting clients, or going out with friends. Meanwhile, she was building her escape plan. This whole situation was like a punch in the gut. I'd built a life, a family, a future, and she'd been secretly selling our house, hiding the money, and screwing around behind my back. It made me sick to think how much she'd lied, how much she'd manipulated the situation for her own benefit. I felt humiliated, betrayed, and furious all at once. The worst part was knowing she thought she could get away with it, that she'd be the one holding all the cards, but I wasn't going to let her win. I started documenting everything, every lie, every secret meeting, every dollar she tried to hide. I knew I had to be meticulous if I was going to fight her in court. I also started preparing emotionally. I knew this was going to be a long, ugly fight. I had to stay strong for myself and for the kids. I refused to let her ruin my life any more than she already had. One night I sat down and looked at all the evidence I'd gathered. I realized how much she'd betrayed me, selling the house, hiding the profits, taking out a mortgage, and then sneaking around with her lawyer friend Jason. She lied about everything, and I was just starting to see how deep the rabbit hole went. It was a terrible, humiliating realization, but it also fueled my resolve. I was going to fight her in court, and I was going to make sure she paid for her lies and her betrayal. I owed her nothing anymore. My life, my dignity, and my future were worth more than her manipulations. I was done being the naive husband. Now, I was ready to be the man who took back everything she tried to steal from me. The court hearings were as ugly as I expected. Emily showed up with that same bitchy attitude, trying to act like she was the victim. She lied through her teeth about everything, about the sale of the house, the mortgage, her affair with Jason, even about the money she'd hidden. She kept spinning stories, claiming I was trying to control her, that I was paranoid and jealous. But I had the proof and I didn't hold back. When the judge asked for evidence of the sale, I presented the official documents, the bank transfer records, and her own signed affidavits. When they asked about the mortgage, I produced the loan papers and the correspondence she'd hidden from me. The judge looked over everything carefully, and I could tell she was starting to see through Emily's lies. Emily's lawyer tried to argue that I was being unreasonable, that I was trying to punish her for her independence, but I cut her off. I told the court about the secret accounts, the hidden profits from the sale, and the affair with Jason. I explained how she'd been manipulating the situation from the start, trying to take everything I worked for. I could see the judge's eyes narrow as I laid it all out. The courtroom was tense. Emily's face was flushed with anger and frustration. She kept insisting she was doing what was best for the family, but I knew better. I had all the evidence, and I was ready to fight to get what was rightfully mine. I asked for full custody of the kids, the house, and all the assets that she'd tried to hide or sell without my knowledge. I also demanded an accounting of all her financial dealings, including the mortgage and the sale of the house. In the end, the judge ruled largely in my favor. She ordered Emily to pay back the money she'd hidden, to give up her claims on the house, and to settle the divorce amicably. She also ordered an investigation into her finances, including the hidden account and the mortgage. Emily was furious, screaming that I was ruining her life, but I didn't care. I'd fought for months, and I finally felt like I was getting some justice. The aftermath was a mix of relief and rage. I finally had control again, but the damage was done. I was left with a broken marriage, a shattered sense of trust, and the realization that I'd been completely blindsided. I moved out of the house with the kids into a rental and started rebuilding my life. The divorce was finalized a few months later, and I made damn sure Emily paid every penny she owed. Looking back, I can't believe how deeply she'd lied and manipulated. I thought I knew her, but she was just playing a long, calculated game. The betrayal cut deep, but I learned a lot from it. I learned to trust my instincts, to pay attention to the small signs, and to never let someone get away with hiding their true intentions. If there's one thing I can tell anyone in a similar situation, it's this: don't ignore the red flags and don't be afraid to fight for what's yours. People will lie, cheat, and manipulate, but the truth always comes out in the end. And when it does, you better be ready to stand your ground. Because if you don't, someone else will take everything from you: your trust, your money, your future. I learned that the hard way. But now I'm finally rebuilding, and I won't let her or anyone else take that away from me again. Now that everything's settled legally, I've been trying to put the pieces of my life back together. It's been a long, brutal road, but I've gained clarity I never had before. The house is gone, the money is back in my hands, and the divorce is finalized. Still, I can't shake the feeling of betrayal, how she lied for so long, how she played me for a fool. But I also realize I've learned some hard lessons about trust, greed, and the dangerous line between love and manipulation. The biggest thing I've taken away is how dangerous it is to ignore the signs, the secretive phone habits, the sudden money moves, the evasiveness about her whereabouts. I should have seen it sooner, but I was blinded by love or maybe just hope. Now I know that if something feels off, it probably is. Trust your instincts and don't be afraid to dig deep when it matters. Because in the end, no amount of love or loyalty is worth getting blindsided by someone's greed or betrayal. I also learned that revenge, when done right, can be a powerful thing. Not in the way of petty revenge, but in the sense of standing up for yourself, holding someone accountable, and reclaiming what's yours. I fought hard and I won. More than just the legal battle, I reclaimed my dignity. That's the real victory. Most importantly, I've realized I need to focus on myself and my kids now. We're trying to rebuild, to heal from the damage she caused. It's not easy, and there are still moments when I feel the pain of betrayal, but I know I'm stronger than I was. I'm not perfect, but I'm better. I've learned to be cautious, to value honesty, and to never let anyone take advantage of my trust again. If I could give any advice to someone in my shoes, it would be this. Don't ignore the red flags, no matter how much you love someone. Protect yourself, your assets, and your future. And when you catch someone lying or cheating, don't hesitate to fight for what's rightfully yours. You owe it to yourself and your kids to be strong, to stand your ground, and to never let anyone else decide your worth. Betrayal hurts like hell, but it also teaches us resilience. I'm still healing, still figuring out who I am without her, but I know this: my future is mine now, and I won't let anyone take it away again.